What is up? What is up? Welcome back to another NBA Rundown brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Spread Astaire, joined today by Hoop and Tyler Hicks. Hoop, how have things been with you?
Yeah, everything's going well. NBA back to full swing, and it seems like we're finally turning the corner on all this COVID stuff and the guys being ruled out. We're seeing a lot of teams now getting back to full strength. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having all that stuff behind us. And yeah, like I said, most of these teams are, it seems like the rosters are getting closer. Still some issues, but looking forward to the days of not having to worry about that crap.
Yeah, it's definitely getting better and coming at a better time with the NFL winding down. The eyes of the DFS and gambling community will turn to the NBA. Tyler, we did pretty good on the show yesterday. We really only missed one pick, right? The Lakers got home. The Raptors was easy. What was the other one we gave out? Joe Val got there. What was the other prop you gave out?
It was the Miles Turner under 1.5 threes. He went over 2.
Yeah, and that was an easy one too. Oh, and that was the other game, right? We both liked the Knicks there.
Yep.
And we went ahead and gave that out. The only one we dropped was the Memphis Grizzlies and the Cavaliers. That was a pretty impressive performance by the Grizzlies. Wasn't too mad about our pick, but definitely impressed by the Grizzlies. Did you have any takeaways from that game?
No, I mean, it's still the Grizzlies. They're still that thorn in my side. They worked for me one night. I try and fade them the next night. They're like, nope, we're going to win again.
Yeah. Well, anyways, we're going to get back to the winning ways today. And we'll start with the Philadelphia 76ers, who are laying 9.5 points in Orlando. The total is 213. I'll let Hoop pull up DraftKings while I start with you, Tyler. I don't like laying a lot of points with the Philadelphia 76ers. They're just a team that does fade down the stretch. I think Joel Embiid's a great leader. Sometimes his conditioning comes into question. And also, this is a team that can kind of not focus when they're blowing other teams out. They're not like Utah, a team that I trust with the lead. What are your thoughts on laying 9.5 against the hapless Orlando Magic?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Magic, so I'm not that worried about it. I think Philly's just going to dominate on the inside. Embiid's points props up to 28.5. I still think he's going for 30 plus right here spread. So we're going to bet that over. I think you could take him to 30 plus, and the win is the safer way if you have access to FanDuel and the player performance doubles. And I think that total is a bit short because we all know Philly's getting above 112 points. Mm-hmm. So if we can get 100 out of Orlando, this total is going over. So give me the over here too.
All right. Yeah, I'm maxing that Embiid right now. He's gone over 30 in his last 5 games. And you look at who's going to be playing center for the Magic tonight. Hoop, you got to have some interest in Embiid as a spend up. Go ahead and talk about whether or not you would lay 9.5 with Philly here. And then, of course, go through some of the options on DraftKings.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely lead the Philadelphia side. I mean, you guys know my struggle. I just struggle taking these teams that just have no incentive to like win games, like the Orlando Magic, the Houston Rockets, the Pistons. Just, man, I just can't put money on them. So if I'm picking between the two, it's going to be the 76ers. For DFS purposes, we saw Korkmaz just absolutely go off last game and kind of broke the slate. I mean, 52 fantasy points. It looked really good. I mean, he had the ball in his hands a ton. Price did come up. He's 4-7, but assuming that he's back in that starting lineup, I think it's a guy to give a look to. I mean, tons of upside, obviously. Do I think he goes for 50 tonight? Absolutely not. But do I think he can pay off his salary? Yeah. Embiid's fine if you want to go there. Tobias Harris, just a little bit too expensive at 8K. He's a little cheaper on FanDuel. You can play him over there. But yeah, for me, it's going to be Embiid if you want. The problem is, though, if you are playing a guy like Embiid, you kind of want someone on the other side in tournaments. I just struggle with this Orlando Magic team. So Embiid's fine. Korkmaz is fine, assuming he's back in the starting lineup, but not a ton of interest DFS-wise here.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've learned from watching you guys on the Hardwoods Live and, of course, the Final Countdown on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel is that you don't always need to run it back on an 11-game slate, right? Yeah. But I have to ask you before we move on, though, Cole Anthony's questionable. If he's out, I mean, I don't think we can ignore Orlando completely, or can we if he's out?
They still have, like, a lot of guys that they can mix in there. I mean, I think RJ Hampton would, come into the conversation a little bit. It's just a tough team, man. They still have Tim Frazier out there. I mean, it's just not a friendly DFS team, and we have 11 games tonight, so you just don't need to take too much risk in situations like this.
Yeah, I mean, probably not too much regret if you leave the Magic off your roster tonight. All right, back to the schedule. The Detroit Pistons plus 11, another big spread. I think that's why this is a tough slate to me from a gambling perspective tonight. A lot of these big spreads here. Plus 11 for the Pistons. Charlotte Hornets minus 11. We like to attack the Hornets, because we don't think they're big men. I don't know if the Pistons have the capability of attacking them in that way. Still, 11's a lot to lay. Pistons team won 2 in a row here. They got the upset over Milwaukee. Is this a letdown spot, Tyler? What are you thinking about the Detroit Pistons, or are we going to grab the 11 here?
I think I'm going to take the 11 here with Detroit. I'm not big on Charlotte. They're not going to be able to keep these guys out of the paint. So Cade Cunningham, Diallo, Sadiq Bey, they're going to get all the shots at the rim they want. This could be a big Cade Cunningham game because we know LaMelo Ball ain't playing no defense. And if they put Rozier on him, he's not much better of a defender. So I like Cade Cunningham's stats tonight. He's 17.5 on his points. I like the over there. And let's see where we can get his combo on his rebounds and assists because I know we were getting a low number on that early in the year. 11.5. I like the over there.
For just rebounds, assists?
Yep.
What about a PRA look? The points, rebounds, and assists on
his
Bookmaker
points,
right
rebounds,
now,
and assists.
30.5.
Yeah, 30.5. I don't hate it because I think he's going to score a ton of points against his defense, but I think his rebounds and assists, I think you're going to get 6 to 7 rebounds out of him. And we all know he can rack up the assists, so I like that better at 11.5.
All right, before we go to Hoop, question for you here. Sadiq Bey over points, rebounds, and assists. This is from We the People.
Yeah, I like that too because we all know he's going to put up a ton of points. I'd much rather just play his points just because you're going to get that number a lot lower at 20.5. So I'd rather play his points than his PRA.
All right, good look there. I was doing some research because I was writing about the Pistons matchup tomorrow with the Grizzlies. What surprised me? Sadiq Bey only 33% on the year from 3. That's down a lot from last year. Hopefully he can turn that around because obviously he's a building block for that young team. I agree with Tyler Hoop that it's Pistons or pass here. I'm not laying 11 with the Hornets. Hornets are a great young team, right? But I'm not laying 11 with this team yet. They just haven't proved they can do it. If it bites me, it bites me. But I like the Pistons here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of said in that last game, I don't like taking dead teams, but this is a spot where I would make an exception because you're going against this Hornets team. They just play no defense at all. And we're seeing a lot of games with the totals hanging around 215. Every time the Hornets take the court, it's around 230. I mean, they're one of the few teams in the NBA. They play fast and they don't play much defense. And that really opens you up and makes you susceptible to, playing down to your competition. And that's what you could potentially see here. So I'm with you guys. We're in lockstep. It's the Pistons or nothing. DFS wise, at least one pretty good play. Trey Lyles now in the starting lineup here. 4.7K. He played 35 minutes last game against Milwaukee. 27 fantasy points. We'll take that tonight if he can do that. I think he gets similar minutes. And he's a guy that when he gets minutes, he's always been relatively productive regardless of where he's at. So I like some Trey Lyles tonight. The problem with the rest of the Pistons, all the guys are priced up for when Cade was out. Like Diallo was going for 70 fantasy points. Well, they bumped his price up to 8.3. Cade comes back, he puts up 30 fantasy points, which is what we would kind of expect from Diallo. Sadiq Bey did have that big game last time out, but the price is way up there, 8.3K. I just don't think I can do that. So for me, it's going to be Trey Lyles in this game. Nothing really on the Hornets side. I mean, they're pretty much at full strength. But yeah, I'd lean the Pistons if I was going to bet this one.
No Cade in the mid-tier build there. He's at 8.2.
Yeah, I don't love them at the price, 8.2. I mean, I just always lean a more stars and scrubs, but especially on this slate where we have some really cheap value plays, which we'll get to. Just makes it easy to play the cheap values and then get to some of these bigger spends on the slate.
All right, Richie Smalls in the chat saying, celebrating my birthday today. Some winners would be a great gift. We have you covered. Hoop has had an excellent record on the show. And Tyler, not to pat ourselves on the back, but we've been doing pretty well.
Spread, I got one fun prop for that last game. We just talked about the Detroit one. Last time I pegged Cade Cunningham for a big game. He almost got a triple-double. I say we sprinkle that 30-1 here against LaMelo Ball's defense. He should be able to get the rebounds against the front court, too. It's just if he can rack up the assist.
You're getting a plus 3,000 on his triple-double?
Yep. I think it's definitely worth a half unit shot.
I think so too. That's a great number there, and I think he is going to have a big night. That's why originally I was thinking he might be someone we'd look at when we're building these lineups. But Hoop makes a great point today. Probably some better spend ups, and with all the value, we should be able to afford them. Here's a team that I actually do like here. We talked about not wanting to lay the points. I think I'm going to do it in this situation. The Washington Wizards are laying 8 points to the Houston Rockets. Total 231. There we go. Back to last year with those high totals here. Houston Rockets, interesting situation, of course, right? Kevin Porter, he gets told to pick up the intensity. He picked it up and just headed right out the door, left the team at halftime. Christian Wood at least had the generosity to stay in the arena, but refused to check back in the game. How do you think that affects the team tonight? I see that both players, Kevin Porter and Christian Wood, will be back. I think that's an interesting dynamic in the locker room. What do you think works for that, Hoop?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not a great situation where the guys are, pulling Antonio Browns and just kind of calling it quits. And it could have some residual effect here. I mean, I like the Wizards in this spot. Bradley Beal's been playing really, really well with Dinwiddie out. Now, Dinwiddie cleared the protocols, right? Is he still out tonight? Have they said that yet?
I capped him as out, but yeah it says 1-7 on Basketball Monster, his return.
Yeah, so they got him still listed as out. I mean, these situations are always a little dicey when these guys get off the protocol. Some teams are just tossing them right back in, like we saw with Julius Randle last night. Other teams are kind of waiting a couple of days. So these are very fluid situations that you definitely need to follow right up to lock, because yesterday I think it was like 45 minutes, maybe an hour before lock. They said, all right, yeah, Julius Randle's going to play. So it's a team-to-team thing. But assuming he's out, which sounds like he is going to be out, Bradley Beal just continues to play well. Kyle Kuzma has just been going off. I mean, just absolutely going off. Looks phenomenal out there, very confident. Give me some Beal for sure. I mean, he is expensive at 10.5, but the way he's playing, tough to avoid. I mean, he's going to be able to get whatever he wants here against the Rockets. Kyle Kuzma, Gafford, I like a ton. Gafford just very, very solid, very safe for fantasy. I mean, 6.4K on DK. Like, he's, like a lock to get around 30. He has the upside to get into the 40s and give you the double-double bonus. Steals, blocks. Love Gafford at his price tag. Rocket side, I'm not all that interested. I mean, Christian Wood is 6.2K, but who knows what they're going to do. I mean, these guys are all cheap, but I do think there is quite a bit of risk around them. Let me just pull up.
Christian Wood's only 6'2".
Is that what that is? Is that correct? That price? I just wanted to verify that, because that's the first.
No, I saw that too. That if you didn't bring it up, that was going to be my follow-up question too. Yeah. Obviously there are some worried about repercussions. Maybe if you're building one game or in cash, you stay away. But I think it might be worth a GPP punt, right?
Is the normal head coach back tonight, Spread?
I'll have to look that up.
If he's back tonight, I think it'll be fine with those guys. If it's still the assistant coach, then maybe we'll have problems.
The assistant was it's a Bucks legend, John Lucas. I can just imagine him not messing around with these guys, right?
Yeah, I thought that was wrong. Okay, no, Christian Wood really is 6'2". So he's clearly in play tonight. There is a little bit of risk with the situation. We have to imagine the 1-game suspension was good enough for them to move on from the situation. I heard 6'2" is a ridiculous price tag for Christian Wood. So I was hesitant to speak too much on it, but I just looked again. He's 6'2", and that's a cheap price tag for a guy like Christian Wood. So I have interest in him. Gafford, Kuzma, Beal, like all those guys. I want to see who starts. What's his name? Denny Baji. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but he started last time, and he was okay. I mean, 40 minutes, actually more than okay. 40 minutes, 31 fantasy points. If he's still in that starting lineup somehow, he's a guy to consider tonight. So we need to see. This game's the first on the slate, so we will have the news, but we have some solid plays in this game. In terms of a side, I'd probably lean the Wizards here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any news on whether or not Silas is playing. Did you find any or coaching? Did you find anything, Tyler?
No, I didn't see anything either.
He was sitting.
I'm trying to scour Twitter and see if I can find anything. I'm not seeing anything.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I'm not seeing anything either. Everything's going back to that when I just Google it. So that would be interesting. I think you might have to look at Christian Wood here, but still, regardless, I like Washington a lot. I think they're really coming along here. We talked about Bradley Beal, right? Even at 9K, we weren't playing him hoop because he was playing so poorly earlier in the season. I mean, now he's been going off, and the only hard part is I can't get. I mean, I guess I could, but it's going to be hard to get both Beal and Kuzma in there. If I can only choose one from this game, who would you think?
Beal. I mean, he's just playing at a different level right now. It's one of those situations though where you can see like Dinwiddie and Beal on the court together. It's just not a good. It's not a good fit. I mean, they played well to start the season, but both those guys. Beal's at the point now. He was more of like a shooting guy in the past. Well, now he's a guy that needs the ball like in his hands, and he can create and get to the basket, and like he needs the ball in his hands. Dinwiddie needs the ball in his hands. Like the fact that Beal's playing so well without Dinwiddie here is not surprising at all. And as long as Dinwiddie stays out, I think we can just keep jamming Bradley Beal in the DFS lineups.
Yeah, and I was wrong on that in the offseason. I thought that was going to be a great addition. I thought they were going to do well with each other, right? Just so Beal didn't have to do everything. You watched some of those games last year, right? When they were he was dragging them into the playoffs. I mean, he was doing absolutely everything on the offensive end, looking like James Harden on the Rockets, right? Where the whole offense was him. And I thought, okay, this should give him a little relief. But you're right. They just haven't meshed. It'll be interesting to see if there's some trade deadline activity, maybe moving Dinwiddie on to a team who could use his skill set a little more. The San Antonio Spurs head to Boston to take on the Celtics. The Celtics laying 7 points here. This was 8 the night before. The Spurs
I had a prop in that game.
Well. Oh, I'm sorry.
Game. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You got me 2 days in a row, Spread. You skipped right over me on a game.
An 11-game slate. I'm trying to be efficient here. I'm sorry. Let's go back to Houston and Washington. Give us the prop, Tyler.
Yeah, but it's going to be our guy, Jalen Green. They knocked his points down to 14.5. Now, since he's come back from injury, he's put up 20, 24, 16, 29, 12, and he's taken double-digit shots in every single one of those games. If there's any problem with those guys in the coach and they sit minutes, he's just going to take more shots. And with him clearing that number with them on the floor, I think we got to take that over.
What was the total number you're getting? I'm
14.5. He's covered that in every game except for the last one where he scored 12 points. He went 3 for 12 last game.
All right. And I know you're a big Jalen Green fan. Jalen Green over 14.5. So sorry about that, Tyler. If I do that again, cut me off again. I apologize. But the Boston Celtics are -7 with a total of 223.5. Interesting stretch for the Spurs, right? A well-coached team. We would think, they got a bunch of young players. Oh, they'll be able to absorb the loss of DeJounte Murray to the other players. That has not been the case. Boy, talk about a case for how valuable DeJounte Murray has been to this team. San Antonio Spurs have not been doing well without him in the lineup. But they're facing a team that's not been playing very well either, right? Lots of problems in Boston here, as we thought that they were going to be, contenders to at least make the Eastern Conference Finals. As of right now, I don't even think they'd be in the playoffs. They would be in a play-in game. So a lot of trouble there in Boston. Really interesting to see what this team does. They've run, about 4 or 5 years now with Tatum and Brown. And I don't know. It just seems to be getting worse, not better. So it'll be interesting to see. Danny Ainge never traded him. Let's see what Brad Stevens does. But on to tonight, Celtics laying 7. I would not want to lay it with the Celtics, but the Spurs are a pure fade right now. Tyler, what are your thoughts? Oh, Murray's back tonight?
Yeah, Murray's back tonight. So give me all the points and give me the money line on the Spurs tonight because Boston's also getting back Tatum. We know how that is when you get a ball-dominant guy back in like that. DeJounte Murray's also a ball-dominant guy, but he kind of runs their offense more to where Tatum's ISO ball. He's going to hold it and stop that offense and stagnate it. Give me the Spurs tonight, Spread. I think they upset them. I also like
Murray back. I like the Spurs. It makes it a much easier handicap. I'm catching 7 with the team that I really like to fade. Now you have me pull it up, and I apologize. I should have been ahead of these things. But DeJounte Murray is back. Jason Tatum, Enes Freedom, Aaron Naismith, Jabari Parker, Robert Williams. I think he's big for this team, and Romeo Langford. I don't know how much he means to the team. Maybe crossing you off there for the DFS, though, with all those Boston players coming back. Hoop. Now that I have that news, and apologies for not being prepared on that, with DeJounte Murray back, give me the 7 points. What are your thoughts, Hoop?
Yeah, I didn't have really a strong opinion, but you guys kind of sold me. So I'll join you guys with the Spurs. It makes sense. DeJounte Murray back. I mean, it doesn't sound like any restrictions for him. Boston, man, they're just not a great team, and you have to imagine maybe at the end of the season they look to like break this up a little bit because it's been together for so long. It hasn't worked. Like the Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Marcus Smart, it just doesn't. Again, it's a situation that just doesn't fit all that well. Guys, too many guys that need the ball in their hands. Tatum and Brown, I just feel like they kind of, I don't know, they're very similar kind of, and just take away too much from each other. So not a good fit. DFS wise, this game's mostly a fade. Like Boston is now back to full strength, or at least close to full strength, and all their guys are priced pretty aggressively. So be off Boston. On the Spurs side, it's tough. Pirtle, I think, is always a pretty solid play. I mean, you can bank on him to play usually around 25 to 30 minutes, and he typically gets 30 to 40 fantasy points. Like last night, he only played 22 and a half minutes because of the blowout, but he got 40 fantasy points. Just a very solid, stable fantasy producer, and the price never really changes all that much for him. He's always right around 6K, 6.3K tonight, so I like Pirtle again. It's about it, though, in this game.
All right. Yeah. The other interesting thing for Boston, right? They were really upset with Brad Stevens last year. And I'm not saying that Ime Udoka will not end up being a good coach, but you're definitely seeing the fall off from a veteran guy who did very well in the NCAAs, Brad Stevens, then did really well with the Celtics. And you watched like them coming out of timeouts, the way that they were able to adjust their defense from matchup to matchup. And I think they are also missing that coaching advantage, and maybe some of the flaws that he was masking through his schemes and strategies are now becoming more apparent for the Boston Celtics. They better turn around soon, or they're going to blow it up this offseason. The Golden State Warriors head to Dallas to take on the Mavericks, plus 4.5 for Dallas, total 214. Let me make sure I get this right. Now, Luka should be back in the lineup tonight, right? But there will be no Porzingis. And on the Golden State side, Andre Iguodala's out, Otto Porter's out. And Isaiah Thomas and Boban Marjanovic are out for Dallas. So pretty much close to full strength. I think Otto Porter helps them, but obviously it's not a crushing loss there for the Warriors, right? They got Steph, Dre, and Jordan Poole. That seems to mean a lot. Andrew Wiggins quietly having a really good season. When I was looking at these 3-point percentages, right? Surprised that Sadiq Bey was so low at 33%. Andrew Wiggins is at 44% right now. Obviously, he's not going to be able to sustain that, right? But they talked about his contract being overpaid. If he continues hitting that, he's definitely earning his money. We'll start with you, Tyler. I like the Warriors here, man. The Mavericks have won 4 of their last 5 games, right? But they did it against the Nuggets, who were tired, and they have so many injuries in that game. They beat the Trailblazers, they beat the Kings, and they beat the Thunder. Okay, that's great. Congratulations. I'm glad you got your wins. You're moving back in the playoffs. At least you beat the team you're supposed to beat. But now you're going against arguably the best team in the NBA right now. I think it's going to be a kind of a slap in the face of the cold reality of how far away this team really is from being a contender in the West. And who better to do it than Golden State, who has just been playing fantastic basketball. And it's like the one year when they were trying to break the record. I mean, these regular season games seem to mean something to them. I haven't seen them just loafing around. Draymond, a whole different player now that the playoffs are back in his sight. Start with you, Tyler. I like the Warriors. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Warriors at 4.5 spread, I think, is a steal. Just like you just said, Dallas beat a couple of teams that you should beat. They beat one team that was all beat up with injuries. Now they're going to play this Golden State team who's pretty much at full strength. Yes, they're missing a couple pieces still, but Dallas is missing Kristaps. Luka's going to probably draw Andrew Wiggins' defense, which is pretty good. It's going to cause them some troubles. Give me Golden State at that short number here spread. I think they blow them out.
All right. And Hoop, I know that we're not high on Dallas so far. Anything you've seen since last time I've seen you to make you change your mind and want to bet on the Mavericks?
No, the only thing that's changed is the little less money in my pockets because I took the Nuggets with you a couple of nights ago. I love that play. Nuggets, one of my favorite teams to bet on. The Mavs are like my favorite team to bet against. It was a match made in heaven, and didn't work out so well. But we're gonna get it back tonight because the Warriors are gonna beat the hell out of the Mavs tonight. So I'm with you guys. DFS wise though, there's not much to like here. Steph's fully priced. I prefer other guys if I'm going up top. Can't really play any of these secondary guys for the Warriors. And then on the Maverick side, Luka, he's got a pretty good price tag, 10-6. I think you can definitely play him. But outside of that, I'm not playing. Even with Porzingis, I'm not playing any of these other Mavericks guy. So for me, it's pretty simple in this game. If I want action on it, I'm just going to take the Warriors.
Keg's live show, only $39.99, wants to comment. He says it's Dirk Nowitzki retirement night. Are we failing to factor in Dirk getting retired? I personally don't put a lot of stock into these things. Tyler, do you think that matters at all?
No, I mean, not really. Maybe like a first quarter bet Dallas comes out hot, but we all know Golden State's just going to bounce back and take over this game at some point.
Yeah, Hoop, what do you think? Do you think that matters at all? Getting Dirk retired, his jersey retired tonight?
No, I mean, I know a lot of people like Mangone's one of those guys. He's always like appealing to like the narratives and the birthdays and all that stuff, but not for me.
I'll tell you what, Hoop, in tennis, the birthday fade is real, though, because it's only one player, and they're usually hungover. Richie Small says, Clay's probably back on Sunday. Would you take the Warriors now to win the chip before the line moves? And I would say, Richie, the line's already moved. I mean, we've known that he's going to come back for a while. I think that's pretty much already baked in. If you like the Warriors and you want to bet them, I won't talk you out of it, but I don't think you're getting any sort of edge there. Eric Chang reminded me to do my job because I always forget to mention this. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Hey, share it with your friends as well, Eric. Gas Station Sushi jumping in saying rough beat on the Sacramento Kings last night. Yeah, I mean, we like the Lakers there. Tyler, let's admit, we got a little lucky. Did you see that weird call where De'Aaron Fox didn't catch the rebound?
Yeah, that was a weird call.
Yeah.
And then you get LeBron yelling at Tristan Thompson on the bench at the end of the game.
What was he yelling at him for? Cheating on Chloe again? All right, let's move on to the next one. Brooklyn Nets are -8 heading to Indiana to take on the Pacers, 224.5, and it's the season debut of Kyrie Irving. The Nets caved. They had to actually bring him back because just too much for James Harden, Kevin Durant. I'm happy to see him back. I like watching him play basketball. Tyler, we'll start with you. How do you think that affects the team bringing him back? Obviously, we talked about ball dominant players. He's a pretty ball dominant guy. Do you think it helps or hurts right off the bat?
I would say it hurts, but against a team like this, like Indiana's pretty beat up. I see 3 guys are doubtful: Brogdon, Lamb, Duarte. They're already down Levert, Isaiah Jackson, Goga, Martin, and Craig. Mm-hmm. They're just so beat up. Brooklyn can go out there and just throw basketball around, let all 3 guys take their turns, and I think they'll beat them. I think you're getting a discount on Brooklyn too because of that with him coming back. So give me the matchup here. I think they beat him, and I think they beat him by more than 6.
Yeah, Hoop, if there's any team I enjoy fading more than the Mavericks this season, it's been the Indiana Pacers. So much talent, and they just can't put it together, right? And maybe it's the coach, right? Rick Carlisle there, right? Everyone says he's this elite coach. Quick quiz. When was the last time Rick Carlisle won over 50 games as a coach? Oh, it was 2007. The guy's kind of living on his past laurels here. And they brought him in to win now. The roster is just not ready. I think they're ready to blow it up. I want to see him blow it up. I want to see Sabonis and Turner, some of these guys in different situations. There's no way I'm taking the Pacers here, but I haven't bet the Nets. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's, the game is kind of past Rick Carlisle, and it's shocking. He just continues to get job after job. I mean, the Pacers are, I don't know, probably the most disappointing team this season. I mean, they look pretty good. They have viable players on the roster, Brogdon, Sabonis, Turner, Levert, Jeremy Lamb. They have good basketball players, just can't put it together. And now they have injuries and the COVID stuff to go on top of it. This roster, I mean, just it's awful, disastrous. In terms of DFS, though, provide some opportunity for us because these guys, no matter what, even if they get blown out, they're going to play a lot of minutes. And some of these guys look good, actually. This Kiefer Sykes guy looks very good. He's still 3.3K on DK. He's going to play probably 30 minutes. Dwayne Washington, another guy, started out slow last night, but turned it on. Justin Holiday was a disaster last night, but they're going to need him tonight. Sabonis, I think, is in play. Turner's in play. Justin Anderson played a lot last night. Well, not a lot, 15 minutes, but he looked pretty good. 17 fantasy points. They're going to need him. Who's the other guy that's out? Wasn't another random dude got ruled out?
Let me pull it up.
Torrey Craig.
The list is so long.
Yeah, Torrey Craig. Yeah, Torrey Craig was playing a decent
26
chunk of
minutes
minutes,
last
and
night.
he's ruled out tonight too. So guys like, Holiday obviously get a little bit of a boost, but their main guys are going to have to play a lot. Brissett as well. So, I mean, you're looking at like 6 or 7 guys in play here for the Pacers fantasy-wise because of their price tags and the situation they find themselves in tonight. I like the Nets in this game. I mean, okay, so you're going to have basically Kyrie, Harden, Durant, 2 of those 3 guys on the court all game long going against these dudes. I mean, they're just going to get owned. So I really like the Nets here. I think they spanked the Pacers. It's what, 8.5. I'm fine with that. It should be a total mismatch. I mean, but fantasy wise, we're going to be involved here because we have to look at some of these Pacers super cheap. They're going to play a ton of minutes. And if somehow they can keep it close, you're going to need Pacers on your team to win tonight.
Yeah. And with Brogdon and Duarte being upgraded to doubtful, right? Still doubtful, but they might play. Of course, you guys will need to tune in to Hardwood Live and the final countdown to get the final news because, of course, right, Sykes looks so great right now, but if any of those guys come back, he's going to be right out the lineup. So, of course, to get access to those cores, become a member of runpuresports.com. Use the promo code GETBETS to become a member. You'll get access to all the daily fantasy information as well as the bets and the props. Let's check in here with the chat real quick because they got a lot to say about this game. Eric Chang says, if this was any other team, I'd be taking the points with the home dog, but my money can't find the window with the Pacers. Completely agree there. Richie wants to know if Kyrie starts this game. And we didn't know for sure. Eric Chang answered that Nash said Kyrie could start or come off the bench, but I expect him to play a big chunk of minutes. Eric is also going to fade the Nets against any good team initially when Kyrie gets reintegrated. Keg's live show's on the opposite of us. He thinks that Brooklyn's going to fall. He says 2-game losing streak for Brooklyn, going to beat 3. And what else do we have? This is probably the cheapest we'll get Kyrie on DK for the rest of the season. Do you agree with that, Hoop?
Yes, most likely. What is he? 8.9K. I mean, unfortunately, you probably can't play him tonight. I mean, I think he probably gets, at least 30 minutes, but there's a chance that he only plays like 25 or 28, especially if this game does turn into a blowout. He's the first one where the minutes are going to get yanked. But yeah, 8.9 is probably the cheapest. I mean, but an extreme amount of risk. Plus, he's still playing alongside Harden and Durant, 2 very high usage guys. So, cheap price tag, but it's tough. And that's how it was all last season with the Nets. Like, you really couldn't play any Nets guys unless one of the main 3 were out because it's just there's not enough to go around for all those guys to satisfy their price tags.
Keg's live show wants to know Washington or Sykes if you can only play one. And of course, that's assuming that Brogdon and Duarte sit.
Yeah, I mean, both really good plays. I mean, both rank as 2 of the better value plays on this slate. I could only play one. I'm gonna cop out here and just say I'm gonna play the cheaper one, which is Sykes at 3.3K. You say $500 going from Washington to Sykes.
Yeah, there we go. Eric Chang is also bringing up that the Nets have lost, coming off some losses. They show up today. I think that's a good point. And Richie Small says Kyrie's going to come out firing tonight. Would not be surprised, right? We talk about, I think in football, the layoffs really hurt you. These guys that are the elite level of basketball, they can sit on the couch for 6 months and still come out and ball. I think that Kyrie, I wouldn't be surprised if he has a big night today. And I'm sure his teammates will be excited to get him back, right? There might be some Durant and Harden might want to try and get him involved, right? I mean, they've been carrying the team the whole season. Why not let him put on a show for his first night back? Obviously those guys have egos, but at the same time, I do think that they're both good teammates and understand their roles on the Brooklyn Nets. Oklahoma City Thunder head to Minnesota to take on the Timberwolves. Timberwolves laying 9, total 217.5. I got to check Basketball Monster right now when I'm talking about these guys. So yeah, it's going to be hard to cap this game. So Karl-Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell are both questionable. I don't think you can bet. This line says to me they expect him to play. But I would hate to put money down right now and then find out. D'Angelo Russell was a guy I wasn't high on, but he's done really well for this team this year and actually is playing some good defense. I don't really like the Timberwolves without Russell. I don't think Anthony Edwards he's one of my favorite players. You guys know that. But I don't think he understands how to control the tempo of the game the way that Russell has learned, in his 5 years in the NBA tonight. So I don't know. I think right now, if you want to get involved, you take the points with the Thunder. And if you want to stay away from this game, I'm fine with that. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, can't really do much with the side with the injury news, but there is one prop I think that sticks out to me.
Let's hear it.
You said Edwards can't lead a team, but there is one thing he can do, and that's score the basketball.
Yep.
21.5 on his points props, I think, is a bit low. His 3 games back, 26, 18, and 28. Now against this OKC defense that doesn't have Lou Dort tonight, give me that over 21.5. I think he's good for at least 25 tonight.
Great point about Lou Dort. I left that out, but I think that that's actually essential in any handicap involving the Thunder because because his team's so bad, he kind of gets underrated. But really, to me, one of the best defenders in the league. Hoop, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys do play. I mean, I think Cat and Russell do play tonight. We need verification. The line does kind of indicate that they will be in. Gilgeous-Alexander's back, right? So he's good to go. DFS wise, it's a sloppy situation. I mean, I don't want Gilgeous-Alexander here. I mean, he's really the only guy in the Thunder that you can kind of trust DFS wise. So not a lot to like here on the Thunder side. Timberwolves, it all depends on the injury stuff. I mean, I think these guys play, and if they all play, they're all kind of a risk for fantasy purposes. Who knows how many minutes they're going to get when all 3 of them are healthy. We typically don't play those guys anyway. So yeah, it will probably be a game fade for fantasy purposes. It's hard to pick a side right now too because we don't have the official word on these guys. So stay away game for the most part, and that's fine. 11 games, like you can cross things off the slate and move on.
Yeah, and Richie Smalls asked, do the Wolves try to trade Towns and bring in a piece like Ben Simmons? I mean, my answer is no. If they bring in Ben Simmons, it's to put him along with Towns, right? I mean, they're not. I mean, that doesn't seem like something they would try to do. I also wonder how he would do, right, with his attraction to the limelight, how we do out there in Minnesota, where you don't get a lot of attention. The Toronto Raptors. So this line moved a lot. This was 7.5 this morning. Now they're catching 3.5 in Milwaukee, taking on the Bucks 220.5. Why? Because Giannis is sitting. Is Chris Middleton going to play here? So I kind of crossed this game off my list here. I thought maybe at full strength Milwaukee might have been worth a look, but I didn't want to lay 7 against the Toronto team, which in my mind, if you're running numbers and you're making the model, I think that Toronto's going to be undervalued. And my idea is they played so many games just without people. It's just hard to really get a true metric on this team. And from what I have seen when they are at full strength, this is a pretty good basketball team, right? I think they could make some noise in the East and be the team that nobody wants to play. They have 3 athletic wings, and they can pretty much put the clamps on anybody. So they're not a team that I want to fade. I don't feel like I have an accurate number here. Now it's an interesting situation going out without Giannis. I think that Chris Middleton will play, though, so they'll still have Holiday and Middleton. Tyler, start with you. What are your thoughts on the Raptors and the Bucks?
Yeah, I mean, looking at this one, Toronto's pretty much surging at this point spread. They're playing great basketball. They're putting up a ton of points, playing some good defense. Van Fleet's shooting well. Give me them to win this game outright. No Giannis, no Grayson Allen, who plays a ton of minutes, no Pat Connaughton, who's a good piece off the bench. Nwora is questionable. Ojale is questionable. Thomas is questionable. So they could be missing a ton of guys, and there's really nobody injured for Toronto here. So give me Toronto to win this game as the underdog.
Yeah, Hoop, sounds like Tyler's not worried about Yuta Watanabe being out. What are your thoughts?
I was hoping you'd come to me first because I'm on Toronto here. I like Toronto a lot.
Oh, okay.
I mean, plus 4. I think it's they're playing good basketball. They're back to full strength. They do it right too when they're at full strength. They play their guys like a lot of minutes. And last night, it was a blowout, so they didn't need them the full allotment of minutes. So tonight, less worrisome about the back-to-back. The Bucks, obviously without Giannis, could be even thinner. I mean, they have some guys listed as questionable. Now, yes, the Bucks can still win games when Giannis is out, but this Raptors team, I think, is much better than their record indicates, and I think they go on a little run here. So give me the Raptors. DFS-wise, it is somewhat difficult, though, on the Raptors side. So it's one of those situations where I like the Raptors as a bet, but I'm going to like some Bucks guys in DFS because Giannis is out. The Raptors side, not as much interest because of the price tag. 9.1 for Siakam, 9.5 for Van Vliet. Scotty Barnes, 8K. OG, 7.4K. Those are tough price tags to get to when they're at full strength. So I like him to win the game. But on the Bucks side, no Giannis, we're going to have to look to a few guys. Drew, Middleton has a good price tag. Nwora, Bobby Portis, all really, really good plays and could become even better plays if some of those other guys are ruled out. So just need to monitor that news. But you're going to want to play some Bucks here tonight in DFS. You have 4 options, I think, as is. Could potentially get more if some of these additional guys are ruled out. So really good spot for the Bucks DFS-wise, and I think it's a really good spot for the Raptors as a bet.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Bobby Portis at 6,400?
Yeah, great play.
And I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it seemed like every single time that Giannis missed, Portis was putting up a lot of fantasy points. He's got to be in play for you, right?
Great play tonight. Fair price tag. I mean, just seems like the floor is like probably 30 fantasy points, and he's legit. He legit has like 50 fantasy point upside. So he's a really good play tonight.
All right, let's move on. The Atlanta Hawks are in Sacramento, taking on the Kings, plus 2.5. Of course, we know the Kings lost to the Lakers last night. What's up, Jonathan Nelson? I'm sure you enjoyed that. Tyler and I enjoyed that as well because we went ahead and bet on the Lakers in that game. You know, we didn't believe in this Kings resurgence here. The Hawks have been on a tough stretch. So, you know, we talk about, some of these absences really lowering down your power ratings or your metrics if you're building a model. And the Hawks are in that situation now. We have to be fair, though. They're not out of the water yet, right? Because Bogdan's still out. John Collins is still out. Gorgie Dang, who doesn't mean a lot for DFS, but I think he's an important player, because he does defend well. And Jalen Johnson, right? We made that joke about him yesterday, Tyler. Cam Reddish and Trey are questionable. Of course, this bet would be sunk if they didn't play, but I do expect them both to play. I really like this Atlanta team, especially in this matchup where they're going against another young team that wants to get out there, that's going to run with them. And other than Davion Mitchell's really not going to give a lot of resistance at the point of attack for Trey Young. Halliburton's good, but if he gets out there, Trey Young's just going to find other people, and they have the people to do it. And I think Atlanta's also going to look pretty big against this team. Cam Reddish is going to be have a big night if he plays as well. He's done so well this year to prove that he can be the number one option when everyone was out. I really like Cam Reddish. People were talking about would the Hawks trade Cam Reddish for Harrison Barnes today on King's Twitter, and I'm like, Cam Reddish is better than Harrison Barnes at this point. Like, why would the Hawks do that?
I've seen him photoshopped in a Lakers jersey, and they were like, soon ... And it's like, there's no chance.
Who, Cam?
Yeah. There's no chance he gets traded to the Lakers.
Yeah, like what would they give up? So I wouldn't trade Cam Reddish unless it was just something awesome. I think he's going to be a great player, and he provides good defense too. I'm going against my hometown Heat team here. We'll start with you, Hoop, because I didn't do that last time. Maybe you got a great take here too. I like the Hawks. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on the Hawks. It's a good spot. I mean, they haven't been playing great, but I mean, Trey Young has been playing great. The rest of the team just getting no help, really, essentially. But man, he could potentially do it all here against the Kings. Like you said, just no resistance. So definitely give me the Hawks here in this game to win. Fantasy-wise, Trey Young's a great play. I mean, he looks good. And, with all these guys out, he's just kind of taking over, and we saw it last night. Similar spot. I mean, he went off against the Trailblazers. They had no one to slow him down. It's going to be the same thing tonight. He'll be able to get whatever he wants. Kevin Huerter, though, pretty big role last game, played 37 minutes. I think we got to look at him for fantasy purposes. Clint Capella, 8.1K. Definitely have some interest in him. On the King side, the only guy I really like is Damon Jones. I will say Marvin Bagley actually looks pretty good, but they just refused to give him minutes. He was grabbing a ton of rebounds. Very active out there, and then they just yank him, and they won't give him minutes. So it makes it pretty annoying to roster him. Probably won't on an 11-game slate, but Damian Jones, they're going to need his big body tonight against Capella. So I like Jones. And then, like I said, on the Hawks side, Trey Young, Huerter, Capella all in play tonight.
All right. I got a question for you, Hoop, before we go to Tyler. Who'd you rather spend up for tonight, Trey Young or Bradley Beal?
Man, that's close.
That's a good question. Huh?
I'll go Beal. I've been just riding Beal.
Wow.
He's been going out. But both those guys, I mean, just both really strong plays.
I almost want to use the cores, watch the show, and grab them and just make two lineups and just have one with Beal at point and one with Trey at point, because it just feels like there's just such good opportunity for both of them. I love this matchup for Trey Young. Tyler, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, make it 3 for 3. Give me the Hawks in this matchup. I mean, the Kings are bad. They're not going to play much defense, like you guys said. Trey Young's going to dominate tonight. It's a short number because all the guys out, but he'll make do with the guys he has around him and get them the ball in spots where they can score. So give me the Hawks -2 here.
All right. We are all in agreement there that the Atlanta Hawks are the right play. This is a tough game. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. I'm just going to avoid giving a pick here because I think these are two teams that have really been tough to peg lately. I'm talking about Miami traveling up to Portland to meet the Trailblazers, probably beat them too, but Trailblazers are catching 2 points, total 216.5. Boy, these are two tough teams to really get a handle on. Damian Lillard's still out. Of course, CJ McCollum's still out. Larry Nance is doubtful, which I think really hurts their defense. And of course, they're still missing Cody Zeller here, Norm Powell season in Portland. But then you look at this Miami side, so many people missing. Duncan Robinson, Gabe Vincent, Jimmy Butler, Markieff Morris still from getting that Jokic push. I don't think he's played since then. A lot of people out there for Miami. They're tough to back without Butler, but they've been getting it done sometimes. I don't know what to make of this game. Tyler, what are your thoughts?
I can't back Portland without either of the guards. They're missing Zeller too, and probably Larry Nance. Give me the better coach, and I mean they're both bad teams, so just give me the better coach. Give me Miami here spread. But my favorite play in this, we're gonna go right back to it. Bad teams, give me the under. Miami still plays great defense, so I think that 216 is a bit too high.
Interesting. Remember against the Hawks, they put up 267, right? So you think they come back down a lot more tonight, huh, Tyler?
Yep. Big regression night.
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought they were going to get blown out by the Hawks, and that was, I believe, Monday night or Tuesday night. And
we also got to remember the Hawks are a team that likes to run too. Miami isn't going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be a clash of styles there. Hoop, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Portland kind of surprised. I think the other night, obviously, when they beat the Hawks, and I just if they lose to the Hawks, I just can't imagine the spread being only 2 tonight. I like Miami here -2. I mean, they still have probably the 2 best players in this game, Lowry and Hero. Omer Yurtseven. I mean, Yurtseven's been playing phenomenal. I mean, he's just a walking double-double, steals, blocks. Just very impressed with him so far. So, give me the Heat fantasy-wise. Lowry, Hero, Yurtseven all in play with Jimmy Butler out. But on the Trailblazer side, Anthony Simons, Norman Powell, guys we have to consider tonight with Lillard out. So a lot to like here fantasy-wise. I think we got 5 or 6 very, very solid plays. But, Yurtseven, I don't know how owned he'll be. Center is loaded, and it is an 11-game slate. But I really, really like Yurtseven tonight. Big-time upside.
Interesting. I think this – I'll tell you what, Hoop, I don't envy you guys tonight having to make cores and having to make lineups. I mean, there's so many good options. So a lot of times I only make 1 or 2. I make one with whoever's the guest on the show. And then I watch the show, right, the Hardwood Live, and you guys get me excited about some other players. Like, I got to get a lineup with these guys too. I could see myself making so many lineups tonight.
Yeah, and plus with more news, like in the next game we have up, like Gobert's questionable and Hassan Whiteside's questionable. Like they're potentially going to be thin too.
Wow, yeah. So let's talk about that one. The Utah Jazz are laying 2.5 on the road. It's one of our favorite team, Hoops, the Denver Nuggets. Yeah. But boy, this we talk about getting beat up. Denver Nuggets in the same situation. Maybe some reinforcements tonight, as I'm seeing Monty Morris and Austin Rivers are questionable. And boy, do they need that in the backcourt. Jeff Green and Zeke Naji still out there. And this is so the Jazz usually have a clean report, right? This is the first night we're really seeing a lot, right? So Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, Hassan Whiteside, Rudy are all questionable. Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson are probable. I don't see how you can get involved in this game because I would hate to lose some of those guys going against Denver. If Rudy sits, Jokic has got to be a play here. I'm not getting involved in the side of the total right now. I'll use the famous, Travis Mangone line. Wait for the news. That's what I'm doing on this one. But Hoops, just what are your thoughts on this game overall?
Yeah, got to kind of wait. If you want to, take a chance on, Gobert sitting and bet the Nuggets, yeah, sure. But the Jazz are always just a tough, scrappy team, even with guys out. So I see no reason to really, get involved now for DFS purposes. If they're without, 3 or 4 of these guys, we're going to have some interest in the Jazz side. It just all depends on who's in and who's out. We do have 3 late games, so if you want to save some roster spots for this,
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely viable. I mean, there's 3 games that are 10 p.m. Eastern, and 3 good fantasy games. Like if you leave some spots here for potentially playing Jazz, and let's say they all play, you still have the Hawks guys who I think are good plays. Herder you can go to in this cheapish range. Damian Jones, like we talked about. You have all the Heat guys we just talked about. You have the Trailblazers. So you still have enough guys to not get totally screwed on your lineup. So I don't hate potentially saving some lineup spots to see what happens with the Utah Jazz situation, just because there's so many different spots. Now, if this was the standalone late game, then no, you can't do it. But tonight it's not. There's 2 other late games with viable fantasy options. So if you want to save some spots, I think it's totally viable tonight. At this point, though, it's impossible to say, who the good plays are and who the bad plays are on the Jazz side. Nuggets, you can always play Jokic. And, if Gobert is out, Jokic will absolutely have his way tonight.
So give me some of your general thoughts just on, saving that salary. How do you approach that? I think that's been the toughest part for me. Yeah. It's just the realization that you can change your lineup after for me, it's the 4 p.m. lock, for the East Coast guys, 7 p.m. lock. Right. And I see a lot of you guys, especially Travis as well. You navigate the late news so well. I know that Tony, Big T, likes to get his guys in there early, put up the score, and let everyone else catch them, right?
Yeah.
How do you approach this, just in general?
So like a night like tonight, I think this is a pretty good example of a way that you can approach this. So let's go on the assumption that Gobert is going to sit, okay? And I guess I overlooked that Ingles is already out too. So the Jazz could be pretty thin. So let's say we're going to go under the assumption that maybe Gobert and Bojan are out. So then in your last 2 spots, the utility and like a guard spot, you put Jokic in there and let's say Jordan Clarkson, because Jordan Clarkson would be a good play if all those guys are out for the Jazz. Oh, let's say we get to 9 p.m. Eastern and they say, all right, Gobert is going to play. So all right, now we're going to say, okay, now we're going to get off Jokic, we're going to get off Jordan Clarkson. We're going to go to Trey Young, who is 10.7K, $1,500 or $1,300 difference from Jokic, and then we can go Trey Young and Tyler Hero. It's a perfect swap right there. So you have Jokic and Jordan Clarkson in there. You can swap to Trey Young and Tyler Hero. It's, I think, within like $100 or $200 of salary, and you're good to go. So that's kind of how you play it. And it's situational. It obviously all depends, but really just saving 2 roster spots, and then you're making the adjustments if the news does not break your way. But you're
planning to swap like before the original lock, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's almost like if-then statements. Okay.
Yeah. As soon as you get the news, you get in there and you make that move.
Well, I'm going to do that tonight just because from the learning experience, I figure that's one place that I really need to improve on is not just, setting the lineup at 7 p.m. Eastern and then just turning on the games and enjoying them. Tyler, I see you laughing. What's going on over there? And what are your thoughts on this game?
No, I was just laughing about the setting the lineup and just waiting for the games to start. Especially in this sport with all the injury news. It's like you set that lineup 5 minutes later, that lineup could be dead.
Yep.
But
true.
For this game, I'm not waiting for news because I think Denver wins the game anyway.
Wow.
So just give me the plus 130 now. Jokic double-double and Denver wins plus 160. I think he's good for a double-double, even if Gobert plays, because he usually dominates them. Mm-hmm. We've seen him put up 50 on this guy before. I don't hate his threes prop too at 1.5 at plus money if Gobert plays, because he'll stand out there and shoot threes against him, because we all know Gobert isn't coming out of the paint. So give me Denver to win this game, though.
All right. Tyler likes Denver. Tyler taking a stand, right? Great job on that. So, wow, we made it through the slate. Great job, gentlemen, but we're not done yet because we do need to give out the best bets. Reminder, these best bets are brought to you by runpuresports.com. Head on over, become a member, use the promo code GETBETS to get advantage of the daily fantasy and the betting options. Tyler, we'll start with you. You gave out a lot that I like. I've already placed a couple here, but which one is your favorite of all the bets we've mentioned so far today?
For the props, we're going to go with that Anthony Edwards over 21.5 points. For the side, give me the Spurs plus the 7 spread. I think they're going to win the game outright, but we're just going to take the 7.5. And then as a fun one, that Cade Cunningham 30-1 staring me in the face for a triple-double tonight against Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. I haven't met a lot of 30-1
spread. One book has 30-1, the other one has 14-1. So we got to sprinkle that 30-1.
Yeah, I got to find that. I definitely don't have that number. So great job there. Eric Rosas agrees with you. He says Edwards over 21.5 seems legit. What is your best bet today, Hoop?
Yeah, I'm gonna give two. I have two that I feel pretty good about. And coming into the show, I had zero. So talking with you guys got me on a couple plays. But the first is going to be the Raptors. You can take the 4 or take them to win outright. I think they just win that game. Better team without no Giannis and potentially some other pieces too. So give me the Raptors and then the Miami Heat. I think they play fine without Jimmy Butler. They have Hero. They have Lowry. Yurt7's been playing solid. PJ Tucker's back, and he's not a big name, but he helps that team. So Toronto and Miami are the plays tonight.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and give out Detroit plus 11. I just think that's too much against the Charlotte Hornets team that, hey, they're pretty good and they're coming into their own and got a lot of potential, but they're just not there yet to be laying 11 against anyone. Plus, I just love the matchup for Cade Cunningham, and we've really seen him come into his own and prove why he was the number one pick, prove that he is going to be a great building block for that franchise, and I think he shows you that again tonight. So give me the Detroit Pistons plus 11. That is it for us, guys. Hoop, did you want to let everyone know what other great content you're doing for Run Pure Sports this week?
Yeah, well, we got PGA starting back this week, so our PGA content will be in full swing. The boys last night, Tambo, Uncle T, and Snyder did the show. Great breakdown, player-by-player breakdown for the Century Tournament of Champions event this week. We obviously have NFL going full swing. Playoffs we'll be switching over next week. NBA, got the Hardwood show every day, Up to Lock show. So a lot of stuff going on. So head on over to Run Pure Sports, check it all out.
All right, Tyler, any words for the people before we sign off?
No, I mean, you guys already hit on everything. Like and subscribe both channels. We'll be back tomorrow with more NBA and more NFL content.
Yeah,
and the DFS guys will be back in about an hour. Hoop, you said?
Yeah. Even less than that, like 15 minutes.
Right.
So
yeah,
15 minutes.
Go grab a snack and then switch right over to that YouTube channel, and you'll get even more NBA content. And you're going to need it if you're trying to navigate this 11-game slate. Richie Small's always giving me the reminders because sometimes I forget. Hit that like button. We will be back tomorrow with JSU Run